Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers canine searches, consent to search, and secured containers, and comes to us from M4's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. Now let's dive right in and audit the interaction. On December 4th, 2018, Virginia resident known as the moniker M4 was delivering auto parts for his employer when he was stopped by Officer Hogan of the Buena Vista Police Department for an expired registration sticker. Before we dive into the interaction, I want to give a big thanks to the sponsor of this video, Raid Shadow Legends. Raid is one of the top 3 RPGs on the Google Play Store with over 15 million downloads in just the last 6 months. Raid is an epic dark fantasy turn-based RPG that offers everything you love about mobile gaming in one insanely polished package. Raid is loaded with tons of playable characters, over 1 million different champion builds, and a fully voiced campaign that will keep you entertained for hours on end. You can play with your friends in a clan or battle it out in the PvP arena. There are new champions being added all the time, and you can earn free champions, equipment, and more just by playing the game. If you progress far enough, you can unlock one of the best champions in the game, the Arbiter. Raid is growing super fast, and they have huge plans for updates in the game over the next 6 months. They'll be introducing a new faction, a tag team arena, and even a new clan boss that you'll be able to fight with your clanmates. You can find me in the game under the name Audit the Audit, and if you're quick enough, you can join my clan. So what are you waiting for? Go to the video description, click on the special links, and you will get 50,000 silver and a free epic champion as part of the new player program to start your journey. Between the constant flow of new content and the thriving community, there's always something to do in Raid, and you can download Raid right now completely free for both iOS and Android.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Officer Hogan, Buena Vista Police Department. You got your license and your registration with you? Alright. The reason why I pulled you over is your inspection sticker. Where are you heading to now?
Lexington.
Okay. Coming from Lynchburg?
Do I have to answer these questions?
No, you don't have to.
Alright, well.
Alright, sit tight.
Okay.
Can I get your paper this way? Yeah, I'm gonna get you to finish this up. I'm gonna run the dog on him. Expired inspection, expired in November.
2328 status check.
I haven't ran that.
In the 2015 case of Rodriguez v. United States, the Supreme Court ruled that police officers may not extend the length of a traffic stop to deploy a canine unit in an effort to either gain probable cause or search a vehicle. Since that decision, the Rodriguez ruling has been invoked in multiple cases to argue against the validity of a canine search. Although the Rodriguez ruling did make some headway on the issue of roadside canine searches, officers have since adopted certain methods of circumvention which allow them to adhere to the standards of the Rodriguez ruling while still being able to run a canine unit around the perimeter of a vehicle. One such method is to immediately summon a backup officer to take over the duties of the original traffic stop so that another officer is free to deploy the canine, and that is exactly what Officer Hogan does here.
Alright, sir. What we're gonna do is get your dog. I'm gonna get you to get out of the car, get you stand over there, and I'm gonna run my dog around your car, okay?
What if I don't consent?
You don't have, you don't, that's not part of it.
What do you mean?
I'm not asking for consent.
So you don't need consent to search a vehicle?
No, not to run my dog on the outside of your car, I do not.
Can I just sit in here and roll the window up?
No,
Aside from limiting the viability of deploying a canine unit, the Rodriguez ruling also established a hazy and poorly outlined limitation on the length and scope of traffic stops. Officers do not need consent to use a canine unit, but the court declared that once the core mission of a traffic stop is completed, or reasonably should have been completed, the authority for the stop ends and the citizen should be free to go. The court also defined the core objective of a traffic stop as such inquiries which involve checking the driver's license, determining whether there are outstanding warrants against the driver, inspecting the automobile's registration and proof of insurance, and issuing a citation. Under the surface of that definition are officer safety precautions and subjective inquiries and directives that any officer may issue. The Rodriguez ruling is somewhat faulty in its practical application because to some degree it is based on the integrity of police officers as a whole and essentially assumes that officers will act reasonably and not unnecessarily prolong a traffic stop for other reasons outside of using a canine.
So
It's for officer safety reasons is why.
well, if you're fearing for your safety, shouldn't I be allowed to just go along my way?
Nope.
Okay. Well, under duress, I'll go ahead and get out.
Okay.
Where would you like me to stand?
Well, you can stand right over there, it's fine.
You say registration or inspection?
Inspection. Yeah. All right, mister. My dog did alert on your car. When he's trained, he's trained on detection of odor of drugs.
Mm-hmm.
So he did alert on your car.
You didn't tell him to alert?
I did not.
Okay.
Is there anything in the car?
No. No.
Well,
No
it's
drug
gonna be
related.
I'm sorry?
Nothing drug related.
Okay, all right. Well, it's going to be searched.
Okay.
All right, just letting you know.
I don't consent. I'm just letting you know I don't consent to it. I know you're going to do what you're going to do anyway. I'm just kind of making it clear that I don't consent.
You don't unlock it?
I don't want to. Are you forcing me?
All right, he's not going to unlock the door. So, I don't know if I've got to unlock it.
The definition of refusal, both within the realm of jurisprudence and common tongue, is synonymous with the declination to do an act. In the official police report, Officer Hogan claimed multiple times that M4 refused to unlock the vehicle, but it was Officer Hogan's lack of patience and unwillingness to answer reasonable questions which drew the officer to that conclusion. At no point does M4 state that he will not unlock the vehicle, and at no point does Officer Hogan take the time to explain that he has no other choice.
Can I speak to a supervisor? You're the what are you, sergeant? Lieutenant? I'm just kind of curious as to why this whole thing's going down because of a 2-day late inspection sticker. Do you think this is really necessary?
Virginia case law gets the opportunity to run the free air sniff around the outside the vehicle.
Virginia case law? Does that trump the Constitution?
What Constitution?
What Constitution?
What Constitution?
The United States
Amendment are you
Constitution. I'm referring to the 4th Amendment of unreasonable search and seizure.
It's not
You're saying
unreasonable.
open air.
What the case law says, if you let me explain it to you.
Okay, I'm listening. I'm not trying to be,
All right,
I'm just trying to
help you
protect
understand.
myself.
I'll help you understand it.
Okay.
Move your dog back there.
I gotcha. He's friendly.
No, we're good. I don't know him, so fair.
I understand.
So the case law allows us to do a free air sniff around the outside of the vehicle with the narcotics detector canine and the dog alerts in the vehicle and it gives us probable cause to search the vehicle.
Right. Probable cause. Makes sense, yep. Sure does.
The use of canine units has a rich history in the courts, and the Rodriguez case was not the first time that the Supreme Court had addressed the use and limitations of police dogs. In the 2005 Supreme Court case of Illinois v. Cabals, the court held that a dog sniff conducted during a lawful traffic stop that reveals no other information than the location of an illegal substance does not violate the Fourth Amendment and is not considered a search. Although the Rodriguez case is often cited when referencing the limitations associated with the length of a traffic stop, it was actually the Cabales case which first established limitations on an undue delay that may be caused by a canine unit. The Rodriguez case only further clarified the mission of a traffic stop and reinforced the prior ruling of Cabales. The 2013 case of Florida v. Jardines and the 2014 case of Harris v. Florida established two other notable principles regarding canine searches. In the Jardines case, the court held that officers may not bring a canine unit onto a citizen's private property without a warrant, and that a canine unit's presence on private property without permission constitutes an intrusion and is therefore considered a search and in violation of the Fourth Amendment. The Harris case established the notion that cases involving evidence procured by a canine unit should be considered on a case-by-case basis, and essentially offered citizens and defense attorneys the opportunity to challenge the reliability of police dogs and their respective findings. The use of canine units is still an evolving legal matter inside the courtroom, and it is likely that there will be more cases in the future which further accentuate their use and their corresponding restrictions. After some time, Officer Hogan manages to open the door and conduct a search, but is unable to gain access to the trunk of M4's vehicle.
Hey, you gonna open up your trunk? You gonna open up your trunk?
Isn't a locked trunk considered
I can't hear you.
Can I come towards you?
Yep. Is your passenger doors not open? Your passenger doors not open?
I don't know, the car is kind of glitchy. Isn't the trunk considered a secured container requiring a warrant?
In the monumental 1925 case of Carroll v. United States, the Supreme Court found that a warrantless search of an automobile was reasonable if it was based on probable cause. The Carroll case itself dealt with the destruction of the defendant's property. To find the evidence sought, the officers had to rip into the automobile's upholstery, which is even more intrusive than a search of a locked container. Nonetheless, the Supreme Court found the search to be reasonable and within the meaning of the Fourth Amendment. In the 1982 case of United States v. Ross, the Supreme Court interpreted its prior holdings to mean that if the law enforcement officer had probable cause to conduct a warrantless search of a vehicle on the side of the road, then the officer may also conduct an immediate and warrantless search of the contents of that vehicle. The court also explained that if an officer is conducting a lawful Carroll search, he or she may conduct that search as if they had a search warrant issued by a magistrate. The Ross majority opinion stated, quote, "If probable cause justifies the search of a lawfully stopped vehicle, it justifies the search of every part of the vehicle and its contents which may conceal the object of the search." While a trunk may be considered a locked container in some circumstances, such as transporting a firearm, officers generally do not need a warrant to search a locked trunk if they have already progressed the stop to the point of a full-scale vehicle search.
No. You're the authority on that? I'm just curious. I mean, you have access to the trunk, sir.
To the front. There's a big box and we can only get about that much of the back of the trunk.
Yeah, because I'm busy working right now delivering auto parts and you're hindering me.
Okay, so you're not going to open up the trunk?
What's going to happen? I'm just curious.
It's either yes or no.
I'm asking the...
It's yes or no.
You can't just give me an ultimatum
Yes
like
or
that
no?
without.
Can't give you an ultimatum. That thing is the law. You know before this will happen.
You don't care about the law. That's the problem. I'm sorry, but if you want in the trunk, just tell me you're going to use violence against me, and I'll go ahead and open the trunk. That's essentially what's happening. I either open the trunk, or you're going to either destroy my property, or you're going to use violence against me in order to get me to open the trunk. So, if that's the case, just like you got me out of the car, you tried to get.
All right, go ahead, let your dog in the back, Sissy.
All right. Come on, buddy. Come on.
All right, put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest.
For what?
M4 was arrested and charged with obstruction of justice. Officer Hogan towed M4's vehicle and placed his dog in the local shelter until he was able to post bail. M4 went on to represent himself in the district court, which resulted in having the obstruction charge dismissed. According to the description section of the original video, M4 is also filing a deprivation of rights claim against the officers involved and the city of Buena Vista. Overall, Officer Hogan and the Buena Vista Police Department get an F for escalating a minor traffic violation into an arrest, refusing to address any of M4's questions or concerns, and lacking the patience and professionalism necessary to carry out their duties. No matter what industry or field an individual works in, they are going to encounter minor inconveniences while on the job, and how an individual handles those inconveniences is a direct measure of their professionalism. Officer Hogan's impatience and frustration over the legitimate concerns of M4 demonstrate his inability to exercise his duty without prejudice, and ultimately led to an unnecessary and likely unlawful arrest. If the average fast food employee exhibited a similar degree of unprofessional behavior, they would be fired immediately, and citizens must hold their public officials to a higher standard than the conduct of Officer Hogan in this interaction. M4 gets an A for remaining calm, respectfully challenging the legitimacy of the officer's actions, and following up this encounter with legal action. Although M4 was not extremely well versed on the relevant case law associated with this interaction, he never claimed to be, and his inquiries into the officer's actions were both rational and warranted. Officers often neglect the service aspect of their job description, and answering basic questions and dispelling the apprehension of concerned citizens certainly falls under the outline of their duties. M4 had every right to be cautious and tentative while interacting with these officers, and he managed to do so without being rude or vulgar. It is irrational for officers to expect citizens to unquestioningly bend to their will, and I commend M4 for his vigilance and awareness. Let us know if there's an interaction or legal topic you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Be sure to check out our Patreon for more ad-free, uncensored, and exclusive episodes. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more police interaction content.